What is up, everybody? This is my hands. This is Scrappy Gamer. This is Scrappy Gamer's hands. Doing a Let's Review episode on one of the greatest controllers of all time. I actually am hoping at some point to do a greatest controllers, in my opinion, based on my collection of all time thing. And this controller is going to be near the top. Now, this is actually the original controller. I apologize, by the way, for the weird Halo-esque foggy mist that's coming up from the top here. I don't understand why that's happening. Blinds are fully down, and it's actually pretty dark in here, so I don't get what the camera's catching. But this is actually an original, excuse me, Super Nintendo controller. I know it's going to be kind of hard to see. Actually, I should bring my CLT up so I can see that, what I'm doing right now. It's kind of hard to see, but it is actually an original, made in Japan, Super Nintendo controller with little crappy gamer bite marks on it. Yeah, this is the first controller I ever used as a video game player. It's my favorite controller of all time. It's a treasured part of my heritage as a video gamer, and found out that if you buy one of these shape-shifting tangos, you can utilize it on a PC. So this is a Tomy. Again, you're probably not going to see it because of the stupid ass sun or whatever. Plus the camera sucks. But it's a Tomy, T-O-M-E-E. They do a whole bunch of Nintendo peripherals. One of the boxes, I think I finally decided to throw it away. But it was for the Nintendo 64 stuff. But they do all kinds of stuff. But it is a Nintendo, Super Nintendo plug to USB. And it's beautiful. I mean, literally, it's so smooth. I mean, you're not going to be able to really appreciate it. But, boom. It's in. Excuse me. We're going to plug it into the USB port and show you how the original Super Nintendo controller plays on a PC. Now, the idea today is I have three others, not counting this, three others that are actually USB specific, newer controllers, and I want to know how close they are to the original, which is considered one of the best controllers in the world, period, anyways. Now you're curious, well, why is that? I mean, it's 1991, at least for this one. It's almost 30 years old. Actually, it's turning 30 years old this year. Why would it be so highly regarded? Oh, good question. Obviously, you got the directional pad. That is not unique to this. The original, which... it's over there. Sorry. The original Nintendo controller. This is actually also an OEM original. Again, you can't see it, but it is a Japanese-made original Nintendo controller. This is how this bastard looked. Now, it's blockish. Wouldn't necessarily say it's ugly, but it's not the most comfortable controller. It's not the worst, but you know, it's a lot nicer to have some rounded edges, which is why I think the Famicom version, its Japanese, slightly older brother, did a better job with theirs. But key thing is, I can unplug this one. Famicom, at least the original Famicom controllers, are actually built in to the system itself. But as you can see, the directional pad is carried over, of course. But there's only two buttons, and then the start and select, and there's no shoulder buttons. So, what the Super Nintendo controller did is, and by the way, the person that created this, I believe his name is Lance Barr. He is still with Nintendo of America. He's not only credited with this controller, he's also credited with developing the Americanized, the North American version of the Nintendo the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo Zapper, which is the gun peripheral, which I believe you guys have seen. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, I did do Duck Hunt in one of my other videos. The Nintendo Advantage, which is like the arcade. It's like a portable home arcade controller thing. He also has ties to something as recent as the Nunchuck and the Wiimote, which is pretty cool as well. But it has that dog bone look was the idea behind this one. As you can see, you have the diamond-shaped configuration of buttons, which is still utilized even in controllers today, like the probably the most comfortable controller I've ever used, the DualShock 4, which, as you can see right there, oh no, get back on! No! Not in front of the camera. There we go. Is also diamond shaped. The Xbox and yeah, those are the only ones that didn't stray or didn't go with that is Sega. Sega went with the six button 3 and 3 kind of thing, which I never really was fully comfortable with that one. And then, as you can see on the top, we got our shoulder buttons. Now, something that I learned while I was doing my research, and actually you can see it pretty good there, is these two buttons are actually concave, while these two are convex. This is actually unique to the North American controller. The European and the Japanese one actually had all convex, so all the buttons were convex, and this will show in the third controller we'll use, which is the iBuffalo, which is actually meant originally for the Japanese market, and hence why all the buttons are convex. I didn't know that at the time. I actually just found that out recently. But anyways, there's the little gist on this. By the way, just so I also throw it in there, the PlayStation 1 controller was heavily based off of this. Obviously the shape is different, but the button scheme is a large reason why the PlayStation controller looks the way it does today. So a very, very important controller in the video game realm. But for me, you're looking at the very first controller I ever played with as a video gamer, my 1991 Super Nintendo gamepad, and thanks to that adapter, I will get to play a level of Super Mario Brothers with it. We're gonna utilize the same level, just so that way we keep everything consistent. So let me load up Super Mario World, and then I gotta I'm not going to do that at all. Oh boy. I didn't learn something. This is my third time trying to do this recording. And it's a long story, but basically my power button and the USB port I utilize for this are about 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters away from one another, seems like. Maybe like 2 or 3 centimeters or something like that. And I kept pushing the power button, so it would just kill the recording. So this is actually the third time I'm trying to record this. So I do apologize. There was a lot more information in the initial one yesterday. I did restart this today. Which, by the way, it did work. Cool. The start button on this is kind of dicey. And then I want to make sure, not that it matters, I just want to keep this consistent. There we go. Well, you guys can't see that anyways. Okay, let's load her up. But I did not realize how different the buttons are registered. Nintendo. And here we go. So yeah, 1991 with this controller. It's about correct era, you know? And we're going to do, I did 3 the other day, yesterday, I'm gonna do 2. No, so, oh, and I should probably go back here. So just so you can see, I know the angle kind of sucks, but just so you, just so you know, I am utilizing again Super Nintendo controller. It is sitting in my hands. Oh shit. There we go. Okay. Jump, jump, jump. Now, something, by the way, that I mentioned is one of the key things, if you've ever played this game, is Y is your sprint button. And you kind of want to... You keep your finger down here, and you can bring it in and utilize the lower portion of your thumb in order to jump. It's probably part of the reason why I know how to use chopsticks so well. Aside from the fact that I'm Japanese, but whoops. But that's one. Shit. That's one of the things that I'm gonna. I wanted to, in particular, address is how does that YB transition feel? So just FYI. Oh boy. I did it last time. I'm trying to do this thing. I ended up with like 4 lives. I think it was just like a weird glitchy moment, so we'll just do the normal. Okay. And as I mentioned last time, I said I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but it's just a matter of I've had to do this 3 times now. One of the coolest moments in video gaming history, right here. I don't know if a lot of people understand that unless you're older. I guess my age or older, but this is the first time we meet Yoshi as video gamers. So prior to that, he didn't exist. Nowadays, it's taken for granted, you know, Yoshi is Yoshi. A really cool survey. I don't know if it was Japanese people in general or if it was Japanese gamers, but they asked him, well, who was the greatest video game character of all time? Now, Mario won. He took number 1, which is rightly so. Cloud Strife, who is one of the main characters of the Final Fantasy franchise. I have never actually truly played the Final Fantasy series. It's one of the many things that I know I get crap for. Same with Zelda. I never played it in the Zelda series, to be truly honest. But yeah, he took number 2. He took number 2, and jeez, holy smokes! And Yoshi took number 3. So you're watching the number 1 and number 3 greatest video game characters of all time, according to at least Japanese people in general, if not Japanese just video gamers. I probably should have worded that the other way around, just FYI. But anyways, so damn it, I did it again. So that's how the original controller is. Now, we're gonna find out which of these, I gotta move this over a little bit so I can see what I'm doing, because this is actually important. Normally I don't have any of myself on here. We're gonna exit because I'm gonna have to reconfigure it again. But that's the original Super Nintendo controller, which again, being held up by a Tomy SNES to USB adapter, which, excuse me, I didn't throw it away. This is how this badass boy looks. And you can find it on Amazon for, I think, like $20 or something like that. It's not super expensive, especially if you want to utilize your old controller. It's pretty awesome. But that's the packaging for that. Okay. Now, The first controller, first replica controller, actually came from a set that we have used in the past. This is the Vilros Retro Gaming USB Classic Gamepad Controller set. As you can see, I'm going to try to point at it. You got the PlayStation DualShock. It's kind of hard to see. I'll open it up. A 6-button Sega Genesis / Sega Saturn-ish controller. There is no shoulder buttons on this one. The whole reason I bought this, which was the Nintendo 64, the controller we're going to be using, which is the Super Nintendo, and then the original Nintendo controller. And this is what it looks like when you open it up. So there you go. Again, you got the original, excuse me, Nintendo controller. The controller we're going to be using in a minute. The controller I wanted, which is the Nintendo 64, the Sega Genesis semi / Saturn controller, and then the DualShock PlayStation controller. Pretty damn good deal. The whole set, I believe, was like $25. You know? So essentially this is a $5 controller. So this is the cheapest of the replica controllers that we are using. It does have a nice weight to it. I'm not going to lie. It actually feels a lot better than what a $5 controller probably should feel like. I was going to fuck up right there. I was going to turn myself off because I was supposed to stand up. Yeah, boy. Anyways, while we're doing that, let me start it up. I gotta send a quick text. There we go. Get that going again. Wow, that's really hot. Okay. Let's go to input. Go configuration. The directional pad is not the issue here. The buttons. So the Y on one is actually different than when the other. I think it's mainly just the directional pads seem to be off. Not the. I'm sorry. The actual buttons themselves seem to be off on each one. But here we go. Let's load it up. Oh, step back. Can't quite get the camera where I wanted it, so I guess this is the best I can get. So I just want to make sure that you guys can see we are actually utilizing the Vilros. One of the things that I noticed is the D-pad is a little bit clicky sticky, and the buttons are a little bit clicky sticky. By clicky sticky, I mean that they feel light, but they also feel cheapy, but not as cheapy as you would think. The start and select buttons are a little more recessed, though, than the original one, I've noticed. The shoulder buttons don't feel all that weird, to be completely honest. But as a whole, I really like the way this feels. But here we go. But you might see, if I actually make it. I want to try to figure out what I did. I ended up getting four up. It was pretty. Too fast there. Damn it! I almost got it. I may not be able to get it, to be honest. Yeah. Oh well. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. It's kind of quiet, but here, let me go. I have it next to this thing. You hear that? Click, 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 click. You don't get that with the original controller. So there's, and it's not a mechanical feedback. God, I would love a mechanical SNES controller. Are you kidding me? That would be vicious. I don't think I've ever collected the full. Eish. I don't think I've ever collected the full Dragon Coins, by the way. like I said, personally, oh yeah, I think I gotta go up there. Yep. There we are. I think it's 5 per maybe? There's one right here. Excuse me. Well, I gotta go in one of these tubes, I bet. Bet she's here. But yeah, I mean, I think the D-pad is oops, that was my fault. That's also my fault. The D-pad isn't all that bad. Except the buttons are kind of icky, sticky. Did I miss it? Oh, 2. 2 was a good number in my life. I guess I didn't get all 5. Oh well. But there you go. Ugh. 1 second. There we go. I think it's a great controller, especially if you're looking for a budget kind of thing. If you're looking to get into emulators, pardon me. I think this is a great one on its own. But you get... I gotta turn that off, by the way. Not like that. Jesus. But... again, for like 25-ish bucks, maybe even 30 tops, you get 5 controllers of 5 different varieties, and I think all of them feel really good. All of them have worked, all of them had no issues, and this is one of the ones included in it. I would highly recommend these. If you're looking for a cheap way to emulate as authentically as you can your respective systems and consoles and whatnot, go with the Vilros. I think the Vilros is pretty awesome. But like I said, this is the cheapest by a considerable margin of the 3 that we're about to test. But that is the Vilros. Next up is the controller most people believe is the closest to the original controller, and that is the Buffalo iBuffalo Classic USB Game Pad. This is actually originally for the Japanese consumer market, as you can see by the packaging, and if we open it up by the directions, which are all in Japanese. As I mentioned at the beginning, the American controller had concave, what is it? Y and X. This one, and this is what made me curious because I had never seen that before, just happened to notice it. There we go. This one has all convex. Oh yeah, you can see that really well there. It's all convex. It kind of looks like Skittles or something, you know? All convex. So yeah, this is how a European or Japanese... Oops, I gotta take off that cover, by the way. And it was kind of redundant to put a cover on something that has a case. Not necessarily a case, but a box. But, fuck you, don't care. I should just automatically re-upload. All the drivers should be on there, but if not, I do apologize. Let's go to input, up. Oops. it's definitely not right. Up, left, down, right. Yeah, everything is weird and out of sync. Okay. And same deal, let's load back up Super Mario World. Now the cool thing about this one, if you happen to notice that already, is there is a turbo and clear button. I don't utilize the turbo in anything, but that feature is available with this particular controller. In terms of the size, it's about the same, and weight-wise, it's about the same as a Super Nintendo controller. So there's definitely those similarities there. The buttons definitely feel like the original one. Again, this is my third time doing this one, so I have messed around with them. They don't have that, like, for example, that click that I had earlier. It's not quite like that. It's a much more soft, smooth, buttery kind of feel. And the D-pad is the closest to how the original controller feels. Where is that other coin model I had? Oh, that's 2. Where did I miss the 3? Where did I miss that one earlier? Or I guess where is the... Oh boy. I just want the 5 coins. You know? Alright. Got it. Jesus, how did I miss those other ones? I don't know. But honestly, it feels... It's amazing how short these levels feel when you're doing this. But, honestly, it really does genuinely and wholeheartedly feel like playing with the original controller. The only difference is you got these turbo and clear buttons on the top. Otherwise, it feels so much like the original controller. The only thing is I don't have my bite marks up there. That's the only difference. Pretty amazing. Oh, that was a terrible jump, by the way. I understand the hype. It's actually the most expensive of the 3 that we're utilizing. Believe it or not, the next one we're going to use is actually cheaper than this one. And I think part of it is because of the need to get it to the United States. But this, if you're looking for as close to the original as you can get, I can attest to, growing up with that controller, this is the closest you can get to a legitimate original Super Nintendo controller. The Buffalo, iBuffalo, classic USB gamepad. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Finally, this is the one that I was kind of excited about. I was excited about that because it's Japanese. Haijan. The 8-bit do SN30 Pro USB gamepad. There was 2 things that I really wanted the Super Nintendo controller to have to make it pretty much flawless. 1, analog sticks. Right there. Oh, right there. Second, which you can't see on the box, is 2 more shoulder buttons. You only get 2 with those ones. Haijan. There are 4 buttons on this thing. There are 2 up there, 2 down there, and they are actual trigger switches, which is pretty neat. But this is the 8-bit do SN30 Pro. Has a nice weight to it, which is really awesome. Not a whole lot different in terms of its size, which is pretty amazing considering now I have thumb sticks and then the shoulder buttons. There's also 2 buttons on here which I don't really know what they're for. I think it might be for the Switch. There's these 2 home buttons and whatever. One might be for Steam, but there are 2 buttons right here. Believe it or not, this button right here is actually a button. It does click, and then obviously there's one right there. I don't need them. I can't input those, so they're kind of useless to me. But the biggest concern with a lot of people is because of how close these are to the analog stick. And I just realized I actually didn't look at that the other day, but these are also concave, similar to the North American version. But let's hook it up. This is probably going to be the standard controller I utilize now, and it does have vibration. I keep forgetting that, and it tells you what controller port, I guess this is basically being recognized. So this is number 1. Like I was gonna say, I don't think it was gonna let me utilize it, but it does vibrate. I just can't. I've not gotten an emulation to vibrate yet, but the option is there for other games. Just so you know, it does vibrate. Pretty fucking awesome. Imagine having a Super Nintendo controller that vibrates. You know, pretty neat. But anyways, oh, I forgot to. I forgot to input it. We'll do this, and then we'll do the analog sticks, just so you can see that it does work with the analog sticks, because I don't think, yeah, it won't work with that right now. So we're going to do the directional pad, and then we will actually do the analog stick, just to prove that it does work. As far as... thought I was going to get it. Now, I won't lie, the closeness of these two buttons is going to probably take a little time getting used to. Especially if I have to use them for, like, first-person purpose. But I've yet to try it out, so I can't tell you for certain if it really is that big of an issue. Oops. But if you want to go by the run and click, that's how it sounds. So it's a little clicky. It's not as bad as the Bill Rose, but a little clicky. Nothing that either of them would bother me with. I really don't care. As long as the the button is responsive, I could care less. I already got, I've already been down that path. I'm not gonna go and get those other ones. I mean, I don't notice any of those weird differences. I'm not a controller snob like a lot of people. I don't notice the difference in latency. I mean, except for that. Well, that was my fault though. But I noticed that with the wireless controllers, there's a definitive latency that you can definitely notice. That's why I'm glad that I think originally this was wireless and they did make a wired version. I would prefer the wired ones. Now, let's try and set up the input this time to go with the Joy sticks. Okay. Should be good this time. That already looks good right there. Okay, we are going to be using the joystick this time. Part of that's cheating because I already have Yoshi, but as you can see, I'm using the joystick. Again, I don't like playing these kind of games goddamn near any old game with an analog stick. Space Harrier is pretty good to utilize with a joystick, though. I'm not gonna lie. Felt better, but I think that's because it's an arcade game. Maybe that's why it was so easy. But it does work. This way, this way, this way. This way, this way. No, you mole! But it feels, it's hard to explain. It's out of control on games like this. But it does work, as you can see. I am actually utilizing. And then I guess if you wanted to, you could set up the other analog stick. If you just wanted to make sure that it works. Oh no, we lost Yoshi. I can see if that's going to be really weird, but I can see if I can set that up as well. So, up, left, down, right. Okay. Now I should just be utilizing this one. Oh my god, this is so weird. But as you can see, I can utilize this one as well. That's too weird. So anyways, there you go. I like it. I don't know how this is gonna feel in certain games, but for now I like that I can still utilize these. They're not super necessary, but I can utilize them, and then that way I can save these for my save states. These aren't necessary right now, but when I get around to doing like PlayStation games, I'm really curious about that. But pretty awesome. I think this is such a neat concept to have such an iconic controller have analog sticks and 4-banger buttons on the shoulders. I think that's pretty cool. So anyways, there we go. We finally made it to this damn video. That is the 8-bit Do SN30 Pro. The Buffalo Eye Buffalo classic USB gamepad. Whoops. Everyone's starting to get stuck. Oh no. Oh, what the hell? How'd that happen? The Vilros retro gaming controller, and of course the original Super Nintendo controller with, once again, my bike marks. All in all, I really do like all the controllers personally, but again, if you're looking for as authentic and original as you can get without having the original controller, yeah, everyone's starting to tangle up. This is the way to go. I highly recommend it. It's like 30 something bucks, 40 something bucks. Not too necessarily expensive, especially if you're trying to look for something to replicate the original. It's pretty awesome. If you're looking for the original, of course, then you have access to, where'd that go? This bad boy, which is about 20 something bucks. I think it's pretty cool. If you do have your original controller and that's what all you care about, go with that. 20 something bucks, works like a champ. No all the drivers are installed basically. All you have to do is just plug it in and it works. Pretty awesome. If you're looking for something really, really cheap to just offer that same experience, Vilros is a great way to go. I'm sure there's a lot of good controllers, but I really like Vilros' controllers. I feel like they're good quality, they work well, and they are really, really cheap. Like I said, you can get that whole pack for like 25 bucks and get other controllers, but I think if not, they're like 8 bucks a pop each. Super cheap, but awesome. And then, of course, if you're willing, they're 30-ish something bucks, I think, more or less. Which, by the way, they do click. So the R3 and L3 actually do work with this too. It's like 30 something bucks. This is like the in my opinion, I'm hoping that's gonna be the case, is like the end all be all for your emulator experiences. Everything you need is right there in this cute little package. You know, it's such a small thing compared to some of the other controllers that are out there, especially the Xbox controllers. I'll test it more down the line, of course. I just got it yesterday. But if you are looking for something that you can play a whole bunch of games with, especially games that utilize these analog sticks, I think the 8-bit Do is your way to go. The 8-bit Do SN30 Pro. Anyways, now that we finally, thank God, we finally made it to the end of this episode. Third time we've been trying to do this, but we finally did it. I'm glad. I think I got everything I wanted to get off my chest about those whole things in terms of the controller, especially because of how important that controller is in general. I apologize that did you look at this, but by the way, we are not sponsored by Switch, but if you can, check out Switch. Switch makes electric motors that you can slap onto your bike with a rim. Obviously, they'll make a rim for it. It's kind of pricey, but comparison to buying a brand new electric bike, it's way cheaper. You can utilize your own bike. It's pretty awesome. Just slaps right on. Most of the sizes are available. I did that with mine, and it is fantastic. But we are not sponsored by Switch, and we are not sponsored by Vilros. We are not sponsored by 8-Bit Do. We are not sponsored by Buffalo. I don't even know if Buffalo is still around, to be completely honest. And we're not sponsored by Nintendo, but I would take any of those sponsorships. But anyways, I am the Cryptic Gamer. That is my very quick and very crappy review on at least those Super Nintendo controllers, and I will be utilizing them in the near future because I have a whole bunch of Super Nintendo, Super Mario World stuff to play. So I will see you all in the future when I play those, and if you watch, it's probably going to end up being one of those controllers. Probably this one. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and toodaloo!